but that they exist is of real interest to the medical profession, and a subject of deep pity and commiseration to the humanitarian and the understanding psychologist. They face a difficult situation. I have somewhat elaborated this matter, as it is of use for you to know such facts, and the information is of value to you. It serves to throw light upon a problem, which an increasingly large number of people are called upon to face. Psychologists, social workers, physicians, and all those occupied with guru training constantly meet with this problem, and it is just as well that some distinction is made between the types which must be considered, thus clarifying the issue. 2. A treatise on the 7 rays, Vol. I*. You will find in these instructions many hints which, though they may not be classified definitely as instructions in healing, yet fall into that category, for they will make those of you who read more efficient in understanding. You will note also from the above how this taint, as might well be expected, has its roots in the astral or sentient body, the body of sensation. It is for this reason that I have included it. It would be an interesting experiment in analysis, if these various well-known difficulties, diseases and complaints could be classified under their originating impulses. So few of them have a mental origin, in spite of all that Christian Science or mental science may say to the contrary. Perhaps I should say, rather, that they are not based on wrong human thought, though all evil can be aggravated and intensified by wrong thought. Many or perhaps most of the complaints from which average man suffers are based upon astral causes, or upon some clearly defined desire. A formulated desire is one that finds expression in some form of activity. Of these, homosexuality is one of the clearest to define. The other diseases to which humanity is heir are sometimes not so easy to clarify and define. The man or woman is a victim, but the cause producing the illness or difficulty, physical or psychological, lies hid in the long past which the victim, with his limited knowledge, is unable to investigate, nor can he arrive at the cause producing the effect. All that he can affirm is that, in all probability, desire was the initiating impulse. What human beings are today and what they suffer is the result of their long past, and the past presupposes long and well-established habits. Such habits are inevitably the result of one of two factors. 1. Desire, dominating and controlling action, or 2. Mental control, which substitutes for desire a planned campaign which will run counter in many cases to the normally sensed, defined desire. You will note from the above that it is my wish that you grasp the importance of the emotional sentient body, and its power to initiate those secondary causes which, in this life, demonstrate as disease. You will note consequently the emphasis I have laid upon the astral body as a promoter of wrong physical conditions, and the necessity for astral understanding and control on the part of the patient, if there is to be a true overcoming of disease. Will you understand me if I say that the true overcoming may mean an acceptance of the way of death as the way out, should it come normally, or of healing, if the causes, which are the initial impulses, are exhausted? Ponder on this. In all the above, even in connection with what I have said concerning homosexuality, I have considered either rampant or inhibited desire, but I have only considered it in general terms and in a broad outline. Will you misunderstand if I point out to you that where desire is inhibited, which is the case with many aspirants today, all kinds of diseases, cancer, congestion of the lungs, and certain liver complaints become possible, as well as the dread malady of tuberculosis? The diseases of inhibition are numerous and serious, as you will note from the above enumeration. It should be noted that where desire is rampant and uncontrolled, and no inhibition is present, such diseases as the syphilitic disorders, homosexuality and inflammations and fevers appear. According to the temperament so will be the types of disease, and the temperament is dependent upon the ray quality. People on the different rays are predisposed to certain disorders. The psychologists are right in their basic differentiation of human beings into the two major types, extroverts and introverts. These two types produce their own qualities of disease, which demonstrate as ill health through overexpression or inhibition. We have considered our second point under the healing of diseases, which arise in the emotional or desire nature. Our first point deals with uncontrolled emotion. I would remind you of our premise that we would only consider the ills to which advanced humanity, the aspirants and disciples of all degrees, are prone. We will not deal, in this short treatise, with the whole gamut of diseases, which affect humanity as a whole, or down the ages. The more advanced the aspirant, the greater probability there is that the diseases from which he suffers will be pronounced and powerfully demonstrating, on account of the inflow to a greater or less degree of the stimulating force of the soul. Subsidiary to the 5 major groups of diseases to which I earlier referred, and working out in connection with them in the human frame, are a group of symptoms which are loosely covered by the terms fevers, tumors, congested areas, plus general debility, and the auto-intoxication, which lies behind so many symptoms. I would have you remember this with care and bear steadily in mind that I am here only generalizing, but that this generalization is basic and therefore of importance. See diseases of worry and irritation. The third category of complaints which arise in the emotional, or astral body is synthesized esoterically under the term diseases of irritation. These are the insidious poisons, which lurk behind the phenomena of disease. It might be said that all diseases can be covered by 2 definitions, from the standpoint of occultism: 1. Diseases which are the result of auto-intoxication. These are the most general. 2. Diseases which are the result of irritation. These are very common amongst disciples. We hear much today about auto-intoxication, and many efforts are made to cure this by diet and the regulation of the life in terms of rhythmic living. All this is good and of help, but it does not constitute a basic cure, as its protagonists would lead us to believe. Irritation is a basic psychological complaint, and has its roots in the intensification of the astral body, which definitely produces abnormal effects upon the nervous system. It is a disease of self-interest, of self-sufficiency, and of self-satisfaction. Again I would say, ponder on these terms, for these 3 aspects of irritation are of general discovery. We will therefore deal with irritation, imperil, as it is called by exponents of the first ray, such as the Master M. We have nearly completed our first section under the heading Psychological Causes of Disease, and have very briefly, yet I believe suggestively, considered those problems which arise from the overactivity and wrong condition of the astral body. All I can do in this short treatise is to generalize, because most of the statements I may make are, in any case, so new and revolutionary, from the standpoint of orthodox medicine, that it will take time for even this first inner structure of ideas and this somewhat new formulation of truth to make its impact upon the thinkers of the race. Then, if accepted as hypothetical possibilities by the open-minded among them, a long period of time must elapse before there has been enough investigation, leading to definitely formulated conclusions, which will make the ideas of popular recognition and use. In saying this, I am not reflecting critically upon the medical profession. The money-grasping specialist and the charlatan are rare. They of course exist, as do the corrupt and the undesirable in every profession. Where are they not to be found? The closed minds are many. But again, where are they not found? The pioneers along the new lines of thought, and the man who has grasped some of the new age concepts have often equally closed minds and see nothing but the new ways, modes and methods, and throw overboard all the old, losing much thereby. The medical profession has one of the greatest and most beautiful records in the world of its purpose and field of activity, and has developed some of the greatest of the soul qualities: self-sacrifice, compassion and service. But the ways and the techniques of the new age are hard to grasp. Much of the old ways have to be given up, and much sacrificed before the new art of healing becomes possible. Until the fact of the subtler bodies is properly recognized by the world thinkers, and their existence is established through a right and true science of psychology and the development of the faculty of clairvoyance, the tracing of the causes of disease back to the subtler bodies is relatively meaningless. The best reaction which the most open-minded physician can and not will, produce or admit is that the psychological attitude, the mental state, and the emotional condition of the patient do either help or hinder. Many are already admitting that. That in itself is much. When, therefore, I say that cancer, for instance, has its roots in an astral condition and began its career in Atlantean times, it means but little to the average man today. He does not realize that large numbers of people today are Atlantean in their consciousness. I want briefly to touch upon the most common of all causes of trouble: worry and irritation. They are more prevalent at this time than ever before, and for the following reasons. 1. The world situation is such, the problems and uncertainty are such, that scarcely a person in the world at this time is exempt. Everyone is more or less involved in the planetary situation. 2. The intercommunication between people has increased so much, and men live so much in mass groups large or small, that it is inevitable that they produce an effect upon each other as never before. If one member suffers, all the members suffer with it, is a statement of truth, ancient but new in application and today realized for the first time. 3. The increased sensitivity of the human mechanism is also such that men tune in on each other's emotional conditions and mental attitudes in a new and more potent manner. To their own engrossing concerns and worries are added those of their fellowmen with whom they may be en rapport. 4. Telepathically, and also with the developed sense of prevision, men are today adding the difficulties that belong to someone else, or to some other group of thinkers and of people, to the difficulties that may be. It is not sure that they will be. These problems will demonstrate to you how intensely difficult it is for men to face up to life. It will be obvious that the problems of worry and irritation, called by the Master Maria, imperil, are many and must be considered. Why are these difficulties of the astral body so perilous and so serious? Worry and irritation are dangerous because 1. They lower the vitality of the man to such a point that he becomes susceptible to disease. The scourge of influenza has its roots in fear and worry, and once the world settles down to freedom from the present fearful condition, we shall see the disease die out. 2. They are so highly infectious from the astral point of view that they lower in a peculiar manner the astral atmosphere, and thus make it hard for people in the astral sense to breathe